Sorry, technical difficulty. We're gonna work on this. You got it.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I apologize about that, but we had a little technical difficulty with the microphone, so we'll have to edit that. If you're sticking with us, thanks for sticking with us. I was just saying that I'm gonna be painting from my imagination tonight, so if you're trying to paint along, it might not work super well. But anyways, hopefully now everything's working. We've got the microphone on and what we need to. So thank you, Peter, for that.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
I will. So we're going to be painting. I'm going to show you kind of what I was going into, and I'll try to hit it a little bit. We want to learn how to paint from real life. We want to also learn how to paint from a reference photo, which normally I'd have a picture right here and you'd be able to see what I'm working from. But you also want to be able to work from your imagination, and that's really like we will get the best paintings when we kind of can learn how to paint from all those things. So anyways, the colors I'm going to be working from, if you've been with us any length of time, you'll know that I'm usually using this palette here. Titanium white. This is cadmium yellow light. This is cadmium orange. This is quinacridone red. If you happen to be buying Liquitex paint, you would buy quinacridone crimson. This is ultramarine blue. This is Mars black. This is a neutral gray called Vancouver gray. And this is phthalo blue down here. And I've got my Princeton brushes. These are Princeton Catalyst brushes. I really love them. I use basically from a size 4, which is this small one here, up to a size 16, which is this pretty big one. They're all flats, but I usually don't really use the 16 when we're doing a canvas this size. I normally only go up to maybe a size 12, which is right here. So sometimes I get people asking me questions like which brush are you using? Really, like which size? You only really need to worry about you know, these 4 brushes, size 4, 6, 10, and 12. Those are the only ones that I really will use on a night like tonight, and really they're kind of similar. So if you were accidentally picking up a 4 when I was using a 6, it wouldn't make that much difference, and if you were accidentally picking up a 10 when I was using a 12, it wouldn't make that much difference. But you can see kind of they're pretty similar. Okay, so I was also saying, hey, tell us where you're from. Tell us, you know, we had a little problem with our microphone there at the beginning, but tell us where you're coming from. Tell us how your week was. Tell us what you're up to this weekend. I'm not sure what I'm doing tomorrow. I might go for another hike with my nephew pretty soon, but I don't know if we'll do it tomorrow. I need to touch base with him. Anyways, I'll start jumping into this. Now, normally when I paint this kind of thing, I would do a thumbnail sketch, but tonight I'm just gonna wing it. I'm just gonna totally wing it. But I've been, in my heart, I've been thinking a lot about the word home. And so that's gonna give you a little bit of a hint as to what I'm gonna be painting tonight. So Peter, who we got with us tonight? Who's hanging out?
Elaine Zink from Alabama.
Alright, Elaine.
Kirsty and John L. from Marysville.
Yay.
Sharon from Manchester. Beth Blessing from Michigan.
Hey Beth. I saw Beth signed up today for Acrylic University, which makes me want to say something in a minute.
Welcome, Beth, to Acrylic University. Susan from Edmonds, Washington. James Smith from the San Francisco Bay Area, California.
All right. Wow.
Sue from Cambridge. Joan from Rochester.
Cool.
Like clockwork. Raquel Roth from Halifax. Vera from Alberta. Maureen from Ontario. Bev from Paris.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, I just realized something that I want to do, and this is a little trick that I'll show you. You may have seen me do it before, but I don't know if I've really done it here. Sometimes if you want to just test out a design and you're not ready to commit, you guys might not see what I'm doing, but I'm just putting clear, like pure water on here. and I can see what's happening on the canvas, even if you can't see it super well. But it allows me a chance to see without committing to color or anything like that. It's gonna dry in just a minute, and it's gonna basically just go away. So it's kind of like one of those Buddha boards, or what do they call those things, where you're just like using water and you're painting on it. But it's helpful in the sense of I can kind of plan it out and see a little bit here without any kind of feeling like I'm making a big commitment. So if you want to ever do this, it's a pretty fun way of being able to test stuff out. And now I think I'm ready. I'm gonna go with this design that I've got going on.
Susan says, I signed up for Acrylic University. Susan Eckerd.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so awesome. Yeah. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, but we open our doors for new members just today, or was it? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Now that I think about it, we opened them yesterday. And so if you're interested in becoming a member of Acrylic University, because one thing I usually say on a Friday night is that this is really more of a hangout time than a teaching time. I do a lot of teaching, and we have a lot of instruction on our site, Acrylic University, but this is more or less geared to be a time where we hang out and we just kind of share life and have fun. But if you are interested in learning more, you can always ask a question tonight, and I'll take time. I'll try to give my best answer. But we have lots and lots and lots of instructive videos, and also just like the most incredible community of people to be friends with and hang out with and learn and grow with. So look into that. I think Peter's got a link there for you.
Yeah. Patricia says, do you have paper in your palette?
Yeah, I do. See? I do have paper in my palette.
It's a special kind of paper.
Yeah, this is that, I don't know which Patricia is asking that, but
Patricia Mahan.
okay, so Patricia, this is a Masterson Stay Wet palette. If you don't know about this, it's a really helpful thing when you're painting with acrylics, because it's got water. In fact, I have a little bit too much water in here right now. I just filled it up, but it doesn't really matter. But it soaks through this special paper. This is a sponge, and the sponge holds the water, and this paper wicks the water up, and it allows you to mix and keep paint moist on here. And this is a bead box from Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Dick Blick. You can get something, but not this exact one from Dick Blick. I'm trying to actually get them because I'm doing some work with them, and I want to see if I can get them to do a little bit of like if they can find a product like this, because we aren't able to find it on their site at this point. This one or something that's really similar. So hopefully sometime they'll get it on there. But these things have really changed the way that a lot of people can paint, me included, with acrylic paint. So vital.
Mm-hmm. Colleen Brown says, finally, I was here since the beginning, but on the website there's no chat.
Really?
Dennis Ribbon says I couldn't get the chat either.
Can you check that for me?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's too bad. I'll be really bummed out if that's the case.
Same.
Because we're really trying to get it so that we can just use the same link every week and have people go to our site instead of having to send out a brand new link every week and, you know, kind of do it that way.
Okay, it's working for me, so I'm not exactly sure.
What do you guys, when you're on the site and it's not working, what are you on? Are you on a computer? Are you on a like a iPad, or are you on a phone, or what?
Yeah. What device are you guys on? Who are struggling with the chat? I was on iPhone and iPad. I can check it on mobile. Let me check it on my phone. But yeah, you guys are welcome to watch.
Is it not down below? Check below. I think if you scroll down, that's at least what I saw. Not that I want you to leave and go away and then have to check for us, because that's a bummer. I can also try to check.
Yeah, the link from the email took me to YouTube. Yeah, the email does. We also sent out text that sent people to the website, so. Oh yeah, look at that. It's not working for me either on my phone.
Really? Bummer.
That's probably has more to do with YouTube than anything, so. A lot of that is.
I wonder, like, man, sheesh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm not gonna get worried about it.
Yeah.
Even though, look, I've got my phone in my hand, and I'm gonna trying to multitask. If my painting falls apart, it's because I'm trying to do something that I shouldn't be trying to do. So, if my painting goes real bad, just yell at me through the chat and Peter.
Okay, there you go.
Ah, man.
We give you permission to yell at us.
Yep, absolutely. We've already screwed up a bunch tonight. We've already...
Tonight's a bumpy road, guys.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, I was thinking about this idea of home and thinking about how important home is for us. How many of you who's moved a lot and who hasn't moved a lot? That I'm kind of curious to know. Like, I have moved quite a bit since becoming, a grown-up, I could say. After college, I lived in Eugene, Oregon for a while. Then I moved back home and lived with my parents again for a while, like for a summer. Then I'm just trying to think. I have that a little bit backwards. I lived with my parents, then I moved to Eugene, then I moved back, then I got married like that fall. Then we ended up living in Vancouver. Then we ended up within Vancouver. We lived outside of Vancouver, then in Vancouver in like I don't know how many different places. It seemed like quite a few. And then we moved to Indianapolis. We lived with my brother for a while. Then we moved out of there. We lived, So anyways, you get the point. I moved quite a bit. But my parents, since I've been alive, have never moved. They've lived in the same house. So when I think about home, I have like these two different kind of takes on it. Like, one is very permanent feeling, and the other is not so much about the place, but it's more about Renee and my family, Willow, and that kind of thing. So I just am curious to know, like, what's home? What does home mean for you, and what's your past been like, your background? Did you move a lot? Did you stay in one place? That kind of thing. Really kind of interested.
We have a bunch of interesting things here. So, Colleen Brown says, I've moved 31 times by the time I was 30.
Wow.
Heather Bruce says, haven't moved in 34 years. This place is my nest and I love it.
Okay. Cool.
Lucia says, I've moved 9 times in the last 40 years.
Okay.
Oh man, we got lots of people talking about this. Let's see here. Cindy says, been in New Jersey my entire life, traveled but not lived elsewhere. Gene Hudson, 3 or 4 times, but have been in the same town now for 44 years.
Wow. So, like, it seems like there's, a lot of diversity, right? Like, some of you have lived in the same place pretty much. Some of you have moved a lot, or, you've moved within the same area quite a bit. One of the funny stories that I have is just like we were moving. I can't remember. We were moving out of someplace and looking for I think we were renting. We were going to rent another place. Must have been when we were in Indianapolis. We hadn't yet bought our house or anything there. So I think I was talking to the like maybe the person who was in charge, like managing the rental or something, and I was trying to make a good impression, and I said something, and later Renee was like, "Why did you say that?" Like, and I told her, I was just like trying to show how, and I said something like, "Oh yeah, like we've lived, like we always live in a place like pretty long time, like," and I said like, and I like went through like the places, because we'd actually lived like in 13 different places in like, you know, like 10 years of marriage or something like that. And I was like talking like we were really reliable and permanent people, and Renee was like, why are you saying what you're saying right now? Because it doesn't sound like we're reliable at all. And it's just funny, my perspective on it was, somehow I had like this perspective that was different than what it probably sounded like.
Yeah.
It was funny. What else is going on?
Eliza says, raised my kids in the Colville area. Hey, I love Colville and Chewelah. Says, in Daisy, about 5 minutes from the Columbia River. I'm now in CDA. I've been there for the last 5 years.
What's CDA?
I have no idea.
Sounds cool.
Lyora moved from Tel Aviv, Israel to Los Angeles 38 years ago.
Whoa, that would be, I mean, I feel like when I hear stuff from you guys, it just makes me want to go, we could just spend the rest of the night talking about that one move, you know?
I know.
Like,
all your travel.
Yeah. I just feel like life is so interesting, right? And like, so when, here's a follow-up question. When you think of home, what are the things that you think of? Like, what makes you think of home? Or what do you think of when you think of home? Like, what makes something a home? I know that that's probably different for all of us, really. But I'm really curious to know.
Elaine Zink says, Florida is home because of the people.
Okay. Florida, but you live in Alabama. Do you live close? I'm imagining. I've always felt like Alabama got the short end of the stick, you know, like, I mean, Florida gets the whole coast. It's kind of like Alaska going up. Alabama's just got a little section of coast.
Susan says, people make the home.
Yeah.
Kaylee, the people I love. Jude, home is where my easel is. Jen,
that's funny. Home is where my easel is. That's great. I love that.
Jen Young, home is where my family is. Eben Cole, the people I love.
Yeah.
Rachel D. Reagan says, my grandparents...
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandparents are gone now, but they represent home to me. It was the only stable place in my childhood.
Yeah. Man, it seems like those are the things that I was thinking too, or just so much is, it's, you know, I know that sometimes it's really based in a location, but for a lot of people it seems like it's based in relationships, and you know, who is it that you're actually, you know, near, and then that kind of makes it like, oh well, you know what, we could live in a different place, but you can't take the people out of the place so much, you know, or take the people out of the picture, or it's not the same. What for you, Peter? What would you say? You've lived in different places. You lived in...
man. That's hard. I feel like I've moved a few times, and so I don't feel like I have super deep roots in a lot of places, you know?
Yeah.
But, gotta be Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why?
Because it's where I spent a lot of my growing up years. Like, even though we moved all over the place, that's where we would go all the time. And
that was the one constant place, right?
Yeah, and also my family.
Well, that's why it was the constant place, though, right? Because if your family wasn't there, you wouldn't have gone back every summer or whenever you would, you know.
Nope.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And out of, you know, I mean, it just seems like that's the common theme is that, you know, I know like my mom, it'd be interesting to hear what my mom would say about that because she grew up on a farm. But when she was, I don't know how old, I can't remember actually how old my mom was when she moved into the little town that's kind of nearby and where her dad was a doctor. But like they moved into a house that was quite different than the farm, although they still own the farm. So I'm wondering maybe that was a little bit nice and maybe it didn't feel like it was too different, but that was a pretty big change, I'm guessing, you know, like her siblings had gotten older and I think had mostly moved out, and then she was the youngest and they ended up moving. But also, you know, the whole family moved and did it. But this is what this painting kind of represents for me is, as I was thinking about home, I was just thinking about what does, you know, what's gonna, I don't know, what would signify home, and I think it's hard for me not to think of a house, you know, when I think about a home, and I think about, because we're usually like spend a lot of our time in a house, and even though a house doesn't make a home, it kind of is representative of what a home is in a lot of ways. And by the way, if you're asking a question at this exact moment, know that Peter just stepped out of the room, so I can't answer your question. But when he gets back in, hopefully we can jump back in. Do anybody, oh man, I can't really even ask a question, because if I ask a question, then you'll answer it, and then nobody will be here to tell me. Oh, Peter's back. So I think that one of the funniest times that's happened on Friday Night Live happened last week. And do you guys remember when it happened? It was when Peter, he was, I can't remember what, I don't remember what you were doing exactly at the moment, but all of a sudden he said, oh, I'm just feeling so affectionate about the people who are here. And then the next person he read was his girlfriend. And I was like, oh, Peter, that's so too funny. And you know that I'm not going to give him a hard time about that every week, but probably just like for the next foreseeable future. Because if I don't give Peter a hard time, who is going to give him a hard time? Like, he's probably texting his girlfriend right now, because that's why he's not responding.
My brother.
Oh, your brother.
My friend.
Yeah, but not on Friday Night Live.
That's true. Not on Friday Night Live.
In fact, why? That'd be awesome, man. You should get your brother to come on and...
Yeah.
That'd be fun, man. That'd be actually really funny. They would be hilarious to get him and your cousin on.
Oh, yeah.
Sheesh.
Andrew's a crowd pleaser.
Oh, yeah. No, he could probably tell some stories about you, too. That'd be...
Andrew?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be good.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, silver's in here.
Silver.
Okay, so if you guys haven't seen, you need to, if you want to be entered to win this painting, I'm going to try to make a new little sign here. You need to text the word. Okay, look at this. I can do this. Imagine. Look at that. Text the word imagine to this number 855-588-4278 and we'll get that and you'll be automatically entered to win this painting. Even though you don't know what it's going to look like or anything like that, it's a risk, it's a dare, it's a challenge. And who knows, maybe you'll win it and maybe you'll say, I don't want that thing, and you won't reply. But you'll have won something and that could make your day a little bit brighter. Just even the fact that you won something. By the way, I wanted to say that we had this little, Renee was feeling kind of sick the other day. And so she went for, she called her doctor and she went for a test. And she's not like bad sick. She's got an allergy or something like that, I think. But that was good. Another thing to celebrate. I'm making this whole thing up right now, and originally I was gonna have it be more like a sunset, but now I'm like starting to think maybe I'll have it be a daytime scene, because I just got kind of this vision of what could be if it was. So
Suzanne says, I've moved back and forth across country in multiple states. At my age, I don't think of a place as home.
yeah, totally.
That makes sense.
I have to say that it was kind of interesting when we were living in Indiana still. We came and visited, of course, like in the summers here, because I live in Washington State, if you don't know. But anyways, I was here a couple summers ago, and I remember driving around, and I was listening to. I got all nostalgic. I was driving past my old high school and stuff like that, and I just started getting super nostalgic, and I started listening to Bruce Springsteen's song "My Hometown," and it was really interesting, because I wouldn't say that I've ever really been that felt that way before, but all of a sudden I did. I had this real kind of I don't know, just kind of this feeling like, oh man, like I want to belong somewhere. Like I kind of want to know where I'm from and that kind of thing. Because one of the things that happened to me is, like, I realized, like, you move a lot and you kind of change locations and you do stuff, and it's not bad at all. Like, I mean, there's lots of really good things. I really do believe there's a lot of good things about moving and opportunities and stuff like that. But one thing that can happen is that you can always live a little bit like anonymously. Like, no one knows you from the past. No one really knows who you are. And so you always can kind of, like, you're telling people, but you kind of have to reveal. You can't be known unless you explain and tell people, right? And when you're from somewhere, it was like when we first moved back here, I noticed immediately, like, oh wow, like people know who I am. People know stuff about me, or they remember stuff that I forgot. And I remember talking to somebody, I probably told this story before, but I was talking to somebody and I was like, who are, like, he seemed like he knew something about me, and I said, like, who are you? Am I supposed to know who you are? And he said, oh, I'm so-and-so. I was your teacher in middle school. And I thought, oh, wow. You know, here I'm talking to a guy that I just I'm just thinking as some random person, and he actually totally knows who I am. He knows more probably about stuff and remembers a lot more than I remember, and it was both at the same time. I was kind of like, oh, that's cool, and kind of like, oh no, this is kind of scary. He knows more about me than I do. He remembers more, and but I think that's only can happen really where you actually know people, and it was a different experience than I'd had because we'd only lived in places where I'd just shown up and kind of, Renee knew me, and my brother and his family, they knew me back in Indy. But other than that, I just kind of like start from square one with everybody else. And so anyways, having an interesting experience when you don't ever have anybody who knows you, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, people actually could know who I am before I know who they are. Makes you want to make sure that you are like you're hoping. Well, I hope I was nice to you in the past. I hope that I didn't do anything bad in your class. I hope
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sue Brent, I can identify with Jed exactly after coming back home and not seeing people for 30 plus years. They remembered me and my friends, of my parents, etc. It was so heartwarming.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? It's actually really cool. And there's like this kind of incredible, you don't realize how neat it is in a way to be known. And that's interesting. Sue, where did you move from and where did you move back to?
Yeah, I can kind of relate to you guys in that one too, because we'll go back to Chihuahua and we'll have random people come up to us all the time like, oh, I'm so glad you're back,
Oh, really?
I really don't remember, but they're like,
yeah,
I hope you can move over here,
Yeah. And I suppose it really makes a difference if it's like small town kind of thing too, because I mean, if I was living in a bigger place, it probably wouldn't have happened like that. So.
For 8 years I lived in an RV and lived in various places, mostly in very alternative ways. Then for 2 years I more or less couch surfed with friends. Then 9.5 years ago I left the U.S.
Oh wow, okay.
That sounds like an adventure.
So, where I think, man, where do you live again? Was it? I don't remember. I know it's like south. That's all. Not in the U.S. So I'm guessing. I can't remember if it was Mexico or if you live somewhere further away than that. Brazil or I don't know. That's interesting though. Very cool. Like who was on here? There was somebody that was on here from Lebanon, right? Like who was that? That was well, did we figure that out, or was that? Oh no, that wasn't here. That was in the community. I remember. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when that big explosion happened, they were writing and man.
Yeah, Mexico.
Okay, Mexico. It was Mexico. Yay for my memory! I did remember.
Colleen says it looks like early morning light.
Yeah. I don't know what it looks like. We're still discovering. It could be. Or it could be late evening. I guess that depends on what you want it to look like. I mean, there's some differences in how you go about painting early morning light versus late light, but sometimes they can be pretty similar. What I love is just the interaction of color and stuff. And I haven't even gotten into like the brighter colors really yet, but it's just fun to see all the grayish colors and how they kind of interact and work together and stuff. By the way, if you're just either joining us or haven't heard me say it yet, we do have our membership open right now, which is a really awesome opportunity. We will have it open for a few days right now. We're going to close it back up, I think, on Monday. And then it won't be open till... We're going to open it up again in September because we've got a special thing I'm doing. So you'll have another opportunity coming up fairly soon. But if you want to get in on the very best art training in the world, this is your chance.
Mm-hmm.
And the best community in the world.
Oh yeah.
This is your chance. I just realized something. I kind of done a little fupa here. A little funny.
Carol asks, Jed, did you teach classes when you were in Indy?
Did I teach classes in Indy? I taught a few workshops. Like, that was when I didn't teach all the time there, but that was when I started teaching workshops. The first workshop I taught was out here on Commando Island when I'd come home for a summer. And then when I became a full-time artist, I did teach. I taught a couple classes. I taught a couple workshops back there. And but not really tons, actually. You know, like, that was pretty early on, and I hadn't really gotten into too much of the teaching at that point. Oh, but this was the other thing I was going to say, is that if you also want to just give it a shot, give it a try, we have Color 101 available, which is our, it's a pretty awesome course on color. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason I thought of all this is because I was talking about blending these gray colors down here. And that's a freebie that you can get just by going, if you just go to acrylicuniversity.com and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there's a direct link to the page. All you have to do really is give us your phone number and your email, and you have it for 60 days. You can learn quite a bit in that course, because I know, at least I'll just say, I learned a lot when I was teaching it and getting ready to teach it, because there's a lot of stuff that I've done over the years that has been kind of like, okay, I'll just like do this, and I'll mess around with stuff, and I'll do stuff. Some stuff works, some stuff doesn't work, and I'll kind of do stuff intuitively, or just like from what I had learned over the years that something would work. But when I actually got into teaching, I realized I can't just say, oh, well, just hope that it works, you know, keep trying different things. You have to actually explain what you're doing. And so I started having to think about and study and kind of think, like, what makes this work? Like, why does this work? And I learned so much stuff from teaching. I still do. Like, anytime I teach, it's actually probably me who gets the most out of it, because just continually learning. It's fun. We got to tell a story, Peter. Oh man, I don't have a story. I just thought of something else though. I am going to Indianapolis in September, and I'm actually thinking about seeing if I can raise some support for it. Not for me, not for our trip, but we're going to help. We're going to help a friend of ours who's starting a nonprofit to work with young kids and young people who live in the inner city. He himself is from the city. He's became a great friend of ours and maybe I'll just throw this out there. You don't have to feel pressure, but I'm wondering if there would be people that would be interested in giving to help that, because basically what we're doing is we're trying to help him as he's trying to help young people there in the city. Yeah. Most of them are going to be coming from disadvantaged homes. You know, they don't have a ton, but he's starting a business. See, when I was there, I worked in construction, and he actually worked for me for a while, and started being interested in construction related stuff, and he ended up buying a house and fixing it up, and it's about, I don't know, it's like 85-90% done, but it needs some work, and we're going to do some of the work, but we're also going to we're helping bring some people together who can kind of come around him, and we're trying to help him with some of the other aspects, like the actual running of the business and that kind of thing. Because it's like he wants to run a business kind of thing that would hire and employ people and just do cool stuff. So anyways, I'm just curious because my brother was talking about it the other day, and I was saying, like maybe I could help, raise some money. And I know it's totally unrelated. It's not related at all to painting, per se, but it is related to bringing beauty into the world. It is related to, seeing something that looks kind of void and empty and bringing life and joy and color to it. So that's what my question is. Do you think that that's something that would be worth putting out there for for yourself? Like, is there anybody out there who'd be like, yeah, you know what, I'd be interested in supporting that. We're going in September, we're going to be there, and again, like I'm saying, all the money that we raise is going directly to help finish the house and to support our friend who has started this this organization that's going to be working with young people. So anyways, let me know, because I'm curious if there is, I'm just kind of using this as a testing ground to see if there's, like I'll have to build some kind of page to collect things on like GoFundMe or, direct people in a certain way. And I don't want to do the work if there's no interest at all or no response at all. So I appreciate that.
Cindy says it's worth putting it out there. Ruth says, our family motto, you have not because you ask not. So I always say ask.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good thoughts. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You can actually, like if we would have set it up beforehand, we could have had it pop up above the chat. Like, the name of whoever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool. Oh, maybe we can do that sometime.
Yeah.
Because we've got a few more before we go.
Carol McDougall asks, what's the name of Carol McDougall, I'm assuming, what's the name of the organization?
Well, I don't know if you'd actually find the organization. It's called Faith of a Mustard Seed. It's FOM. And we're working with him right now to get the actual get it started. Yeah, well, kind of. He's been doing some stuff over the last couple of years. It's not brand new by any means, but I don't know. I don't know that much about how if he has a name that you would find on the internet or that kind of thing, because it's really, at this point, it's me and my brother kind of like coming alongside. My brother more so than me for sure, but he's doing a lot of work to try to help get them set up and going in the direction that you could receive help. You know what I mean? Like, because right now it's not even at that place. But you could look it up. I don't know if you'd find anything, but if you look it up and you do find something, let me know, because that'd be kind of nice.
You're probably gonna come up with, search Faith of a Mustard Seed, it's probably gonna come up with that Bible verse from like 100 different translations.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying. I feel like it every time I see it, it's called FOM. and it might be FOM something.
Oh, there you go.
F.O.M. You know, and then like I don't know if there's another word after that. Yeah, but for sure it's. I think the idea behind it is like, look, he kind of feels like and knows he's kind of he doesn't necessarily have a lot of stuff going in his favor necessarily. So I think the faith of a mustard seed is like, yeah, like maybe just the smallest little thing can actually expand and become something better than what you would ever imagine. So it's kind of the fun thing about doing a painting just from your imagination. How many of you have painted just from your imagination? I'm kind of curious to know that. I mean, the hard thing is you have to make everything up. The good thing is you can make everything up. It's like no one can tell you, oh, you did that wrong, because you can't see what I'm doing. You don't know, what I'm basing this on. It's just in my head, right? So that's kind of cool in one sense. But at the same time, it's kind of challenging because then, like, I don't have anything to refer back to. I have to actually just be like kind of going and saying, okay, does this look right? And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So you're kind of relying on yourself quite a bit, or what you've done in the past, or what and it doesn't mean that you couldn't use something as a reference if but you might be changing a lot in it. But it's not quite as straightforward in a sense that as just if you were just looking at something and you weren't changing anything, right? Like you have to come up with quite a bit more.
Susan says, oh yes, my childhood escape.
What's that mean? What do you mean?
Painting from my imagination.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sue Brett says, always, it's fun, no stress, lol.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of awesome, like in that sense. Like it really but what I'm kind of wrestling with right now is that I've got this building that isn't it's not actually working the way that I wanted it to. I'm gonna make an adjustment here, a change, and I think it'll be okay, but I'm just kind of looking at it going like, actually, you know what? I actually think what I'm going to do is something a little bit more drastic than I was originally planning, but I think that it might be for the good long term. So let's see what happens.
Evan Cole says, I have painted from my imagination and failed majorly. Rachel D. Reagan says, I tried once 15 years ago. It still isn't finished. I got stuck.
That's hilarious.
Jill tried years ago, total failure, haven't tried since. Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
I mean, it might be interesting to see if like this is a complete flop or not, it's a totally different thing. And so much for me is like I didn't do a thumbnail sketch like I was saying at the beginning, which would have helped in the sense of it would have helped in having a reference point at all, right? Like if you're painting from your imagination, it doesn't mean that you can't be looking at anything, right? Like you can still be you could have made up a thumbnail sketch or something like that. But without it, I'm mostly thinking about the design, and I'm mostly going like, okay, what's going to help this with the design? Because if I get the design right and I get perspective right and I get some of the stuff looking good that way, that's actually all that I'm gonna really care about. because the other stuff is gonna come more easily.
Matthew Kelly says, I have a question for Jed. Is the light colored area behind the house considered to be a local color?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't think I would call it a local color. Well, a local color is usually referring to the color of an object. And because this is the sky, I mean, I suppose you could call it an object, but it's not really an object.
It's more.
And so I wouldn't really call it a local color. The reason people use the word local color is because you have like the base color that an object is. So say you had an apple that was red, then you would say whatever that red is the local color. But then the colors will change as it goes in the shade, or if it's in the sunlight. Like you just have these variations, and so you kind of have to take, and what's the reflected light look like? Is the light that's being reflected, how's that changing the color of the object? But so you're working with these different things. Like one is the local color, and then you have the color of the light, and then you have the color, is it in the sunlight or is it in the shadow? All these things that go together in your color choices, where in this it's a little different. This house has a local color. Of course, I'm making it up, but I'm saying that basically from what I'm doing, I'm saying that it's either it's like white with light coming from the other side, so it's in the shade, or something it's pretty light though. That would be a local color. But that's a good question.
Chris says, love how you're changing it up so far into the painting.
Well, you just do stuff that works. I mean, if I had a problem with the dimensions and kind of like the feel of the house, and it's like at some level I could have worked on it, but because I'm making it all up anyways, it's like, well, why not just change it? It was, in my opinion, it made it a little bit easier to deal with when it was a different overall shape. And I kind of, because I'd lightened that area, I kind of was like, oh, you know what, I actually think it could look pretty good. I had enough to go on that was helping me see that there was some potential in that. But what I've found, I think that some people hate like a demonstration, but because I do this every week and I've taught enough classes, I'm not as nervous as I was. If this is a total flop, you know what? It'll just show you guys that painting is hard, and you already knew that. Like I'm not a magician, anything like that, and I guess it's kind of nice to know, not every painting has to turn out. Like one of my good instructors that I have taken workshops from, when I was taking a workshop from him early on, I remember him saying, his name is Mike Svab, and he said something like, yeah, he felt like every other painting of his worked, and so 50% of his paintings worked and 50% didn't. And I was like, oh my goodness, come on. I thought all of his paintings worked, and from my standards, they would have all been amazing, right? But he had been painting for a long time, and he had different standards than I had, and but hearing him say that helped me think, oh, you know what? Like even him, who's been painting for a super long time, doesn't consider every painting a massive success, and I think that for all of us, it's helpful to know that. I've told you guys before, but I watched this other video by Scott Christensen, and it was one of the most helpful videos that I've seen, because he he was struggling with a painting, and then he ended up talking about it later, and it was very informative for me and very helpful, because I never had heard an artist really be as honest about his process, and how painting wasn't easier and easier for him. It was actually getting harder the longer he'd been an artist, and just because his standards went up and he expected more from himself. And so, if that's all that came out of a night like tonight, and you were more encouraged, like sometimes seeing somebody else struggle actually is like, oh, I'm not alone, then so be it.
Colleen says, I say you can't hit a home run on every time you step up to the plate.
Not unless you're nobody. Yeah, you're right. Nobody hits a home run every time up to the plate. Although Ken Griffey Jr., well, his first at bat in the major leagues hit a double, and his second at bat, or his first at bat in the Kingdom, hit a home run. So wow, that dude was amazing.
Reminded the Macklemore song.
Yeah. Oh look, I just dropped something on there. Oh yeah, man. The My Oh My. I know.
So good.
It is. So I can see that I'm gonna lighten this up a little bit more down here, and I'm gonna end up lightening more up here too, because we just have room in this painting for a little bit more on the lighter side. And if you are ever following along, or you end up painting on black, just know that a lot of times it takes several coats to get the lights where you want them to be. So don't stop because you put down a light color and you think that it was the perfect color and the light value that you wanted it to be. More than likely, when it dries, it's going to deepen and get a little bit darker, and you'll want to come back anyways and put a little bit more of the lighter value to bring it out. I find that it's at least 2 coats in the lightest places. More often than not, it's 3 coats. If I have something's almost white, I usually have to do 3 coats there when I'm painting over black. And in here, this is still wet, so I'm going to move down to the bottom and start painting down there. Again, lighten some of that up.
Sue Brent says, I heard an artist say if you want your painting to look like the photo, then take a photo, or just have fun painting it.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, let photos be photos. They're never, I mean, you're never gonna, copy it completely. And if you're trying to, that's the question. Why? Why are you trying to? Because, I mean, you can't really copy when you're outside painting in plein air just because time doesn't allow you to. And I think that that's one of the things that's so good about it for people, is that you're forced to make quicker decisions and just put gestural brush strokes down and stuff like that, that if you have all day and all night and the next week and 5 weeks later you're still working on the same painting, it's probably because you're putting in every detail and you have all the time in the world and it doesn't matter. So, but then you have to ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? Why didn't I just blow up the picture and print it on a canvas? If you're just gonna try to replicate it, just print off the photo if you really love the photo. But painting, when you see a painting done, what I think is so great about it is like you could have 10 people, if this was a real place, which it's not, but if it was, we could have 10 people lined up next to each other looking at the exact same thing, and they would all paint it differently. And that's the cool thing, and that's why people like art and buying art is that you're getting a little piece of that artist perspective, that artist's unique view of life and what he's looking at and or she's looking at, and it's like, oh, okay, this is whoever the artist is, like, this is a little piece of that person, right? And their view on things, and look how interesting that is, and I never would have seen it that way, and oh, look how they made this color over here a little different, or that kind of thing. So never be afraid of putting your own personality into it. And like, if you're somebody who loves bold colors, then use bold colors, learn how to use them so that you can use them well. And if you're somebody who really is a subtle person, then be subtle and do the things that are fun for you and that make you really excited about painting, and never try to force yourself into a box. Like, one of the things that I'm sometimes aware of, and I'm like, think like, oh, I hope nobody's like either discouraged if they're not painting exactly like me, or they feel like they ever have to paint exactly like me. I know that one of the things that has happened to me is I've often tried to copy people. In the past, I'd be like, oh, I really like that, and I would try to imitate somebody, and the thing is that imitation is actually good. You can learn a lot by imitating people, but it can also be frustrating, it can also be discouraging, and it can also bottle you up and not allow you to do your own thing. Normally what happens, I think, is that we imitate and we kind of pull into ourselves some of the things that we're learning.
Yeah.
And then it becomes our own, and then we can kind of branch out and do our own thing. And that's the goal, is in the end you're just taking these things that you've learned and you're bringing your own personality into it. And that's what we want. We want that for everybody, is that you have your own voice and that you would feel really confident in bringing your voice to your own painting.
Heather Bruce asks, Peter, do you know if that bead box is cut down from a larger box? I can't find it on the Michael's site. Where did he get it? So I don't know. So I'm asking you.
No, I don't know if it's on the Michael's site. I've never looked for it, but if you go into the store, that's where I know it is. But sheesh, I'm just thinking, I do think we might have had, we may have had at some point a link to it. So, I'm just thinking, Renee, my wife, she would probably be the person who actually knows. That's kind of typical. She's usually the person who knows the most. Peter and I, we're just like, we're good at like these little things that we do. Peter's better at more things than I am. But Renee's kind of like, she's the one who like, she really knows what's going on and tells us what to do. We like to act like we know what we're doing. We like to act like we're kind of in charge, but you know how it is. Like, when it comes down to it, we all just listen to what Renee says.
Sure.
Well, Peter doesn't. Peter listens to what Johnelle says.
The other day, she said something like word for word from what Renee said. I swear, I was talking about, my big ideas, how we do.
Yeah.
Dreams. And
Oh no.
She said something. I was like, "What? You don't think I can do it?" And she said, "No, I do. I'm just a realist."
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
Renee says that same thing.
Oh yeah. That's one of Renee's favorite lines.
Yeah. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What, you don't think that I can do this? I didn't say that. I'm just being realistic with this. What are you saying? I'm saying that I don't really think that you'll do it. Oh my. Is that what this has come down to? So, Johnelle, have a little faith.
No, she does.
I just, oh man, fun. So this is that part of the painting that I'm still kind of working on a little bit here, is just like this light source. Where is the light source, and what's it doing? What is that light source doing? So I didn't hear if anybody had any good plans for this weekend or coming up. And again, Peter left the room, so I'm not going to be able to get an answer, but please write in, if you're doing anything kind of fun this weekend or anything like that. Let us know. Let me know. I'd love to hear. I really do want to go for that hike with my nephew, because we went on that monster hike a couple weeks ago. And then this week, earlier the week, he sent me one of the nephews sent me another trail. Like, he sent me a map of another trail, and I was like, oh man, we gotta do that one. That looks so beautiful. Like, you just look at those pictures from where you end up at the top of the trail, and you think, man, there's not enough time left in this week. Or in the summer, we've got to do these while we can. But Peter, I'm asking people if they have any plans for the weekend.
Okay.
And what they are.
Nicole Matthews, we've got some serious camping to accomplish. Maybe take a break and kayak in between.
Oh, cool. That sounds really fun. Where is that, Nicole?
John L's mom says hoping to visit the North Cascades, Diablo Lake in Washington County.
What? No.
Yeah.
Well, that might have been the place that my nephew sent me. It was in the North Cascades for sure.
Julian?
And yeah, Julian.
Oh, nice. Jude says, I'm going to go painting to Buck Creek while my husband will fish.
Oh, cool. I don't know where Buck Creek is, but I'm sure it's awesome. There's just so many cool places I've been discovering outside. If you want to see, you can go to, here's another place that you could go if you want to see I have a show that opened yesterday at Cole Gallery in Edmonds, Washington, and they have, I think, like 12 paintings or something like that, new paintings that I've done recently. In fact, one of them was from a lesson I did on Acrylic University, and I liked it so much. One I redid, and one I just took, and I was like, this is like an awesome painting right here, and I'm just gonna put this in there. That was awesome. Normally I do a little bit more work on them after the fact if I think that it's, but that one I actually felt really good about, like just straight up as it was. I was like, I'm not even gonna touch this. I might have signed it or something, but that was about it. Hopefully I did sign it. Okay, well, look at this. Feeling like making some good progress here. Do.
Suzanne Osborne says, I'll be working. I'm loving this painting.
Oh, thanks, Suzanne. Yeah, I'm going to be working too some. I really try not to work on Sundays, but I usually do work on Saturdays. Sometimes when you're painting, the best thing to do is just to step back from your painting and look at it. A lot of times, You know, the old artists, like, I've heard so many funny stories about people over the years, but I heard one where there was an artist, he would like stand like 20 feet away from his painting, probably a pretty good sized painting. He would look at it, he'd decide what he'd do, he'd mix up his paint, he'd walk up to it, he'd put on one brush stroke, and then he'd walk back 20 feet, look again, come up, mix his paint, put down the next brush stroke, and that was just the process of painting the whole time. But the reason for that is because you want to be able to see the painting as a whole. You don't want to just look at the little parts. You want to be able to see what does the overall design look like and stuff.
I do that sometimes when I'm in Photoshop. I'll zoom it out really far and work on it tiny.
Oh, yeah.
When I'm making thumbnails, yeah.
Oh, that's smart because, well, it's the same thing as that. I don't know, Peter, if you remember us talking about this before, but like, you can do that with your phone, you know, if you take a picture of your painting with your phone and then look at the phone.
Oh,
because it's such a small image, and all of a sudden you see all these design things. It's just so helpful. Because for whatever reason, our brain like doesn't see the whole picture easily.
Well, I mean, it's probably because we really only see really well in one little tiny part of our vision. The rest of it is kind of like...
That's probably it, yeah, for sure.
Because you
can't focus on that much, right?
And they say you can't see color in your peripheral vision.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like you can't tell what color objects are in your peripheral vision.
Huh, I'm looking right now. Can I see what color your skin is? Because you're in my peripheral vision right now. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna see. Okay, so that's over there. Man. Well, I can. It depends how far from my peripheral it is, because like this, I'm looking at something over there. There's a rag on the desk, and I can still tell that it's red, but I also know that it's red.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you're right though. Like the further out, the harder it is to distinguish things. Which is why in a painting, it really only matters. You just need a focal point. You don't need like to have everything focused. You need your focal point to have some definition, and the rest of it doesn't need to be all, you know, delineated. It can kind of work together and be a little bit mysterious, and it'll end up looking really good. Like C.W. Mundy said, he's a great artist. He said, "Don't insult your viewer. Leave a little bit for their imagination." Okay, now I'm wondering if I would, if it would do us a good solid to. That's funny. I just use like a little language that I like. I think about that. Like, do me a solid.
Do me a solid.
Yeah. But I wonder if it would do this painting a solid if we, what was I going to say now? Now I got all confused. If I, put a light in the window. That's what I'm wondering. Would it do us a solid to put a light in the window and go all, without maybe going all, what's the guy's name? Thomas Kincaid. I mean, like every painting, you know, like it's got a little light in the window. I think I'm going to give it a shot, see what happens. I like the idea of a little light in the window when I'm thinking about home. See what we can do. And sometimes with this, you know, I was painting a different scene, but kind of similar, in Acrylic 101. And somebody came afterwards and they were like asking me, and they said, "So why is there light in the window? Is it is it reflecting the light outside? They weren't totally sure, and I just had to say, no, it's not really reflecting the light outside. It's actually not that realistic, probably, what I did. It's just more about the painting.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just do stuff that's like, this isn't probably as the way it would look, but for the sake of the painting, I'm going to make it a little brighter than what it would be.
The majority says do it.
Oh, okay, good. Well, thanks for your affirmation. I had already started, but I appreciate that because I think it's kind of fun. We like to see a little bit of that going on, right? Okay. So I think we're getting pretty dang close here. Our daughter Willow was over at my mom and dad's today, and the funniest thing is, we have our cat named Silver, right? And my parents lost their cat like a couple months ago, and after we had Silver, I was thinking, oh man, like, wouldn't it be kind of cool if we could get my parents a kitten? I think they would really love it, and I was almost just gonna do it, because just show up at their house and just give them a cat and be like, here you go, here's your cat. But then I was talking to my dad and mom about it, and my dad was really against it. And he's like, nope, we are not getting another cat. Absolutely not. Not gonna happen. And I just thought, well, I don't really want to be the one who goes against everything that he's saying and brings over a cat, so I just didn't do anything. But I still thought it would be a good idea for them. Like, I still thought that they would enjoy it more than not enjoy it, even though they were very sentimental about their old cat. But guess what happened this week? I got a text from my mom at 10 at night one night, and she said, look what showed up on our porch tonight. And
No way.
yep, they've got a cat that just showed up on their porch, and now they're taking care of it. It's like their little cat now. Isn't that funny? So Willow was over there, and of course she just loves cats now, because we've had Silver now for a little while, and she knows how to feel confident with them and pick them up and tote them around and all that kind of stuff. And so of course this little cat was just getting probably kind of let's just say the cat was getting loved on a lot when Willow was over there, because she doesn't know how to not love on a cat. So that's kind of fun. Okay, guys. So it's about time for Peter to receive your last minute text. If you haven't done this, just text the word imagine to 855-588-4278. We're going to pick the winner here in about 1 minute, because I'm getting to the place where I think that this painting is getting close to being done.
People love the light in the window. It looks really good.
Cool. Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Yeah, but like I've said a few times already, the doors are open at Acrylic University. If you want to become a member, we don't have them open very often, and now's a chance to get in. If you don't do it now, you'll have to wait a while. And we also have our color course, which is called Color 101, available for free access for 60 days. If you just want to give it a shot and see what it's like, there's no obligation at all, except that you're gonna have to listen to me, because I'm the teacher in that course. But it's a really good course, really fun. Anyways, now's the time. Peter's gonna run that right now. So I'm gonna see what happens here. But I hope that you guys have had a really good time tonight. I know that I have. Although, was there anything bad that happened? Well, one time Peter walked out of the room when I wanted to ask a question, and I had to wait. But that wasn't that bad. Oh, I know the bad stuff that happened. It was at the beginning when we didn't have our mic on. And I was like, blah, 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 talking. And then all of a sudden, no one could hear anything. And I was just blabbering for like 2 minutes. So apologies about that. But I'd love to see if anybody did paint this. If they tried to paint along, I'd love to hear from you. Because I'd love to hear if it was like a total impossibility. Or if you were just kind of like following along after I did it. Or if anybody goes ahead and does it now after it's been done, and you just are taking, like, because what I do, just to let you know, is I'll just get out of the way here so that you could pause the video right now and you could take a little screenshot of this and you could actually make this your reference photo if you wanted to. That's the way that I would do it. Sometimes when we have to capture an image or something like that, we'll do that for, from a video. But that's an idea for you if you want to paint this in the future. Do we have anything here, Peter?
Yeah, I texted the winner, yeah.
Okay, we've got a winner pick, so check your phones if you want to see if you won this painting. Make sure that you're paying attention and you get out your phone right now and you look at it. Because, oh, yes, thank you, I'm excited. It sounds like we have a winner. Who's the winner?
Don't know their name.
Okay, what's your name? Text us back with your name. Oh man, I'm bummed that the chat didn't work on the site, on the phone. We're gonna have to keep working on that because I'd really love to just give you one link that you could go to every week. So the winner of this painting, the name of the winner is hopefully coming through here in a second.
We're not going to make the mistake of announcing their phone.
No, we're not going to make that mistake again.
That was bad.
Yeah, for sure. We've made a fair amount of mistakes in this, haven't we?
Yeah, just a few.
Okay, Roberta Hanson. All right, Roberta, congratulations. You won the painting tonight. We'll get this off to you. Or maybe if you live really close by, which I think you might be able to pick it up from us at our studio or something like that. But anyways, this was Friday Night Live. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you enjoyed yourself tonight, if you want to help us, you could do us a solid by sharing it with other people, telling other people, sharing it on your Facebook, doing whatever. But we love you. We care about you. We're glad that you're part of it. And we look forward to seeing you next week. So for now, adios.